Good morning. Welcome to our presentation on Intelligent Accounts Payable Automation with SAP. Before we get started, a couple of housekeeping items this morning. First of all, we'll be recording today's webinar and we'll be providing a link for you to download and replay or to share with any of your colleagues if you wish. You should see an email with the link to access the recording within 24 hours of the webinar. Finally, there will be a special offering at the conclusion of the webinar for those that are interested in learning more about intelligent automation with SAP. And just a reminder, this is a listen-only webinar. If you have any questions, you can click on the question bubble as shown in the current slide. We'll have time at the end of today's session to review and address any questions you may have. Thank you for taking the time to attend today, and we hope you find this session valuable. So a quick introduction to VersaFile and the docuflow team. The teams at VersaFile have been delivering and supporting ECM and business process solutions for over 20 years. Today, as most of you probably know, there are many disruptors that are changing the way that we do business, either through the emergence of cloud infrastructure, the infusion of artificial intelligence, and the emergence and interest around robotic process automation. ABBYY is a big part of this disruption, and VersaFile is excited to partner with ABBYY in delivering content solutions in this new world of intelligent content, process, and automation. In today's webinar, we're going to talk specifically to financial process automation and AP processing with SAP. As your presenter today, my name is Greg Kaut, and I bring over 15 years of practical document management and business process automation experience with a focus on financial process automation. With me on the call today, I also have Greg Soltis, Director of Product Management for docuflow. He brings over 20 years of experience helping customers implement SAP in their organizations and delivering integrated business solutions in finance, HR, and CRM. So why does financial process automation continue to be a key focal area for businesses around automation? Well, for starters, it can improve cash management, provide better governance, and a broader and more accurate visibility into financial liabilities and processing. A lot of the key drivers include inefficient and manual data entry processes, a decentralized processing and approval chain, and a lack of overall visibility into liabilities as well as the actual payment process and the status of processes. These factors can create significant challenges and result in real dollar cost factors, such as missed or lost invoices, which can lead to redundant processing and even duplicate payment of invoices. For public companies, lack of visibility can result in missed or inaccurate liability reporting, impacting both future audits and even in some cases causing restatement of earnings. In trying to solve these challenges, often the first step an organization will look to do is to centralize their AP processing or implement a shared services model. But due to the fragmented nature of invoice processing and the different sources, the distributed approval chains, it often requires the organization to move to an electronic processing model. And while this is a significant effort and investment, it will present the first real opportunity for automation, collaboration, and governance across the accounts payable process. The promise of financial process automation allows organizations to reduce processing costs, shorten processing times, reduce late payments and fees, and provide visibility to effectively manage cash flow. Key factors in achieving this promise are digitizing the process by moving from paper to electronic content, intelligent OCR to identify and extract key invoice data, ERP integration and integrating the master records to match and validate key data and information regarding the vendor, PO integration for line item matching to automate approval and align with receipts for two-way and three-way matching, integrated content services for collaboration and access to supporting documents either external or directly from SAP, and then process integration to ensure policy enforcement and drive further automation through integrated approval workflows. So how do we realize financial process automation with SAP? First, with multi-channel capture such as ABBYY FlexiCapture for invoices can be used to automatically identify and extract key metadata. Then using early SAP archiving to link the digital invoice and metadata and content services. Automatically create the SAP entry, transfer the data, and set the invoice link. We follow that by initiating and matching and approval processing through the matching processes, either 2 or 3 way to support straight through automated processing, or to trigger an SAP or an external workflow for invoice routing, approval, and exception processing. The final phase is payment confirmation and vendor payment. This, we typically generate the payment voucher, we archive the voucher into the repository, and we send payment and notification to the vendor. We achieve all of this with docuflow by streamlining the payment and reconciliation process, resulting in lower cost to process an invoice and the opportunity to take advantage of early pay discounts. We're improving cash flow forecasting and visibility, mitigating financial risk, and maximizing cash utilization. And then finally, the increased control and reporting, resulting in less payment errors, overpayments, or duplicate payments. VersaFile's docuflow is an integration platform that quickly extends SAP to popular ECM and cloud content services such as Box and Office 365 for intelligent content process and automation solutions. Supporting both ECC and S/4HANA, docuflow is SAP Certified, reduces costs and increases your team's efficiency with seamless SAP archiving, linking, and process automation across your ERP and content services platform. docuflow is really a platform of tools and capabilities for helping you automate any SAP process, where processes are kept digital from end to end. Manual tasks can be automated, and your SAP content is available at your fingertips when you need it. We list some of the key capabilities on the screen, but key highlights are the inbound and outbound SAP linking of content and data, the two-way or bidirectional metadata transfer and synchronization, and inbound and outbound process integration to automate SAP tasks, trigger SAP processes, and even integration of AI services. And all of this is all configurable and done with and code free. For all end users inside and outside of SAP, life is pretty easy and simple, really. They can either add content directly into the content services platform or simply drag and drop your content from your desktop to the SAP record, and docuflow will automatically add the content and metadata to the repository and create the link with the document within the SAP record. If you make changes in the metadata in either application, docuflow will keep it all synchronized along with the proper SAP security. And if configured, these tasks could be used to trigger an automated process such as a document metadata to create an accounts payable invoice or kick off an approval workflow. So specifically, how does the underlying technical solution work? Well, we begin by ingesting content into content services and using advanced OCR. In this case, ABBYY FlexiCapture to automatically provide the metadata. Then the docuflow microservices, rules, and mapping engine are automatically triggered to create the invoice within SAP and fire off the associated workflows for tasks and approvals. SAP users can update content, conduct approvals, add additional supporting documentation directly into SAP, and alternatively, this could be done outside of SAP using third-party workflow or automation. Finally, docuflow archives the supporting documents, the metadata, and synchronizes the status of metadata and updates across both systems. In summary, docuflow provides for a complete end-to-end digital content archiving, linking, and automating solution. So let's talk about some of the examples where we've helped our clients realize financial process automation with docuflow. One of our customers, a large energy infrastructure company, is a great example of a business that went through digital transformation of their entire finance department. docuflow is used to help the company get to a state of hyper-connected content, both inside and outside of the organization, streamlining processes and automating tasks to the point of reducing the cost of processing an invoice by 62%, providing faster turnaround on processing and providing vendors more options for faster service. In another example, an energy company that used docuflow allowed them to save costs by reducing manual data entry into SAP, reduce duplicate and invoice errors, and achieve faster processing times through intelligent automation. Further, docuflow was used to digitize their audit management processes. The previous process included multiple internal and external audit requests per month, consuming resources and taking up to 3 weeks to manually retrieve thousands of documents per audit. Docuflow's capabilities help save costs and time by automating the SAP audit report and allowing digital links to securely retrieve and share thousands of documents supporting the audit with auditors. And ultimately, docuflow's dynamic scalable architecture helped the client digitally transform their entire finance department. So let's take a look at how docuflow and intelligent automation work together to bring value-added solutions for our clients. In the demo, we're going to be using ABBYY FlexiCapture, which is a leading document capture vendor and solution. This can be any capture solution. However, ABBYY's application of machine learning and pattern recognition helps drive further automation and simplified administration. So let's start with intelligent document capture. It's initiated through multi-channel capture, meaning ingesting content into a common business process regardless of source, whether it's scanned from paper, email, or fax. Once captured, classification is used to identify what type of document is being processed: invoice, purchase order, or credit memo. And by using machine learning, ABBYY can quickly learn how new document layouts and changes to existing vendor invoices and learn through that process and automatically recognize. So this next time those invoices come through, they're automatically recognized as part of normal processing. Once we classify the document, we can apply extraction rules and patterns to locate and extract key metadata, such as an invoice number, PO number, the total, and even line item details within the invoice. Verification is used to route the low confidence or exception documents for human review and verification. And then finally, the document is exported and delivered to the content repository through docuflow. Let's go ahead and take a look at a demo here. So I'm in the ABBYY project setup station, and normally an end user wouldn't see this interface, but for the purpose of today's demo, it helps simplify and kind of walk through the process. So I'm going to create a new batch, and within the batch, I'm going to load some images that we have here. I have a couple of invoices. I'll bring those in. And so we'll see that the documents are being uploaded into the batch. And they've been brought in and they're currently ready to be recognized. So I'm going to run till I recognize the documents. We go in and look. We'll watch the documents as they're being processed. So this is a background process. The user just typically doesn't see this or invoke it. The touch point will be once the documents come out for review and validation. So it went through the two documents. The first one, it's issued a flag here, an exception for review. So let's take a look at it. So as we look at the document, we can see that it identified the vendor, located the invoice number on the document, located the invoice date, and was able to transform the date format into a format suitable for export into SAP. And then it also identified the subtotal and total amounts on the invoice. If we scroll down, you'll see that there's an exception on the quantities. In essence, we're just looking at the line items in the table and verifying that they're correct. And by marking it as valid, it automatically clears the exception and the invoice is ready to be exported. Let's take a look at the other invoice. This one, there were no exceptions. We can look at it. We can see here that it was a PO-based invoice, and we've got a purchase order number. And this purchase order information is pulled from SAP or even an external purchase order system and integrated into ABBYY to allow for the two-way matching. So if we look down here, we'll see that we found the line item, and it also matched it up to a line item on the purchase order. So with both of these documents being successfully processed, I'm going to go ahead and export them. And we're going to switch over to Greg Soltis and let him pick up the demo from here.
Thanks, Heather Greg. With the ingestion of the invoices into ABBYY, docuflow and ABBYY adding them to O365, docuflow will now take over and watch for that content in O365 and integrate into SAP. So here we see our SharePoint site, and we see the two invoices that were just added by Greg, as well as some of the metadata that was captured as part of the scanning process. Flipping over to SAP, with the interface to SAP being real time, we're probably already processed inside of SAP and kicking off the workflow. What I wanted to show you first was docuflow is much more than just a middleware product. There's a large footprint that resides inside of SAP with a host of end user, administrator, as well as business add-ons inside the SAP boundary. First, let's take a quick look at our administrator dashboard. This gives us a holistic view into all the processes that are connected from SAP out to the content repository and their status. Furthermore, let's go and look at some of the activity that's just happened, and we should see those requests coming in from O365 into SAP via docuflow. I'll just run our simple gateway dashboard report, and here we'll be able to see all the different information that has came over in those requests. And sure enough, everything's came over. We can actually drill down and see, for instance, the metadata that was added into O365 by ABBYY. And as an administrator, this really helps us in terms of reporting both happy path and unhappy path, as well as get a whole bunch of analytics and benchmarks. With that, I'm going to go ahead and back over out of the docuflow SAP, and let's go into the accounts payable. So again, to recap, docuflow's watched for invoices coming into O365. When one is added or more, it goes into docuflow and SAP, brings over all the metadata from O365 into SAP, knocks on the docuflow door inside SAP and says, hey, what am I supposed to do? And in this case, we're triggering an accounts payable workflow. So let's go ahead and look at that workflow. This is the docuflow invoice workflow manager, and I'm just going to go ahead and run this workflow tracking utility just for today. And there we see the two invoices that have came in, and they've already been processed. Okay, we have a PO-based invoice with a purchase order. It requires no approval. So to show the art of the possible, what docuflow has done already is it's actually already posted the invoice inside of SAP, and it's sent off for the payment run. In this case, there's actual payment block on this vendor, and this report can indicate as such. This report allows you to drill down into all the invoices from here and also process as if it were your SAP inbox. Let's go look at this other one for the non-PO. And we see it's actually waiting for approval. Now, one thing that docuflow can do, we've been talking about O365 into SAP, but docuflow is a bi-directional interface. So you can add content from SAP out to O365 as well. I'll show that to you as an example. Let's go ahead and add an amendment to this document by choosing the drop-down menu within SAP. From here, docuflow will add it to O365 and link it, and also send metadata, which I'll show you in SharePoint. First, you select your doc type from SAP. With a drag and drop interface, you can drag one or more documents at any point. And again, docuflow is going to store that in O365, link it, and send metadata transfer, all with a simple drag and drop into the white space. And we're done. To be able to view that document, simply double click. There's the original invoice that we see that came in for Abby that was linked, and here's the one that we just added. And it's the viewing from SAP takes you into your native SharePoint interface or GUI, your viewing experience, and we'll see by choosing to view the metadata associated with this content, we see a whole host of SAP info that's been sent over as well that we've chosen and configured to be associated with this content in SharePoint. Going back to the original two that were added as part of the scanning process, let me go ahead and refresh. There's the one that we just added just now. Those are the two from scanning. And if we scroll, we can see again all the different metadata that's been added from SAP from docuflow. What I also wanted to show you was that invoice was out for approval. So let's go ahead and look at an approval on my phone. Using Microsoft Flow, we'll see that there's my approval waiting for me. It's already been delivered to my inbox with SAP information and the content of the approval. I can go ahead and view that invoice by just clicking on the embedded link. And as well, going back to the flow, I can go ahead and approve, add comments, and confirm my approval. Now that it's completed, docuflow will now go back into SAP. As the art of the possible, it can actually post that FI document and submit that for the payment run as well. So that's a quick demonstration of some docuflow integration using accounts payable with ABBYY FlexiCapture ingesting invoices into O365 and a bi-directional interface to and from SAP with metadata, document storage, and linking. With that, I'll pass it back to the other Greg.
Great, thanks, Greg. Appreciate that. So, kind of in a summary, ABBYY and docuflow bring quick business value to SAP customers through quickly deployed and configured, and I emphasize not customized integration, solving your immediate SAP content challenges and lowering the total cost to implement and operate. Leveraging your existing investments in ECM or content cloud services, reducing the overall sustainment costs. Built-in migration tools to allow you to migrate your content with no end user impact. And automating what are typically follow-on manual tasks and processes in SAP, such as the invoice creation. And finally, allowing the business to align with their IT cloud strategies to reduce data center footprints and contribute to a simplified but secure infrastructure. So we have a few moments here for Q&A. We'll look and give a moment, see if anybody has any questions. See one question in here. What versions of SAP are supported? Greg, you want to take that?
Yeah, that's a good question. We work with any SAP version from ECC 5.0, 6.0, Business Suite on HANA, and S4 HANA, as well as CRM.
Okay, wait a little bit more. Is the solution just for AP, or does it work with other SAP modules?
Ooh, I'll take that one again. That's a good question. You're right, and we are just focusing on accounts payable today, but docuflow's base functionality, that baseline integration that allows you to really do anything in that backend repository and then do anything inside of SAP. With accounts payable kind of being a nice showcase for that functionality at a high level, the answer is yes, we work with all SAP modules. The base functionality is SAP module and use case agnostic. So whether you're talking HR or MM or SD, so on and so forth, docuflow will fit the bill.
Okay. Well, here's one I'll take. How does docuflow integrate with ABBYY FlexiCapture? There's actually a couple of integration points. First of all, docuflow is used as the export interface into the backend repository and supports a lot of the common ECM systems from under OpenText or IBM, as well as I mentioned earlier, the cloud solutions that are out there like Office 365 and Box. But we've also built the integration to synchronize the data between the vital information such as the vendor record information to allow matching to the vendor ID and properly matching to the remit to address, as well as into the PO tables and interfaces to support the two-way matching that's kind of native to ABBYY FlexiCapture. We're also working on building an integration for FlexiCapture on cloud to allow users to actually scan documents directly from SAP. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. So anyways, let's go ahead and proceed on then. So as we had mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we do have a special offer that is designed to help you start with your automation journey. This is through a half-day automation first workshop, where we'll help you assess your SAP content, process, and automation needs, and provide you with a high-level assessment of roadmap and a business use case that's tailored to your specific needs. For those of you that are on the webinar that are ABBYY partners and possibly interested in offering this assessment or some of our solutions to your client, we'd be glad to talk to you and the opportunity to work with you on that. Either way, simply contact us and we'll schedule a briefing to outline the schedule and schedule your workshop. It's a great chance to get started on your automation journey. Thank you again for attending today's session. If you'd like further details or schedule a workshop, please feel free to use any of the contact information listed. This concludes the webinar. Have a great day.